Okay, hi again, folks. We're back here with Mad about Madeira. And again, not mad as in angry. We're using somewhat of a American term, mad meaning like really excited. Okay? So we're mad about Madeira. So in the first video as a matter of fact, here's my wife, like I mentioned to you, that she was going to be in the second video. And here she is.
Hi.
What should I call you? Should I call you by your real name?
No.
Let's go with, let's call her Shen. Okay? Let's call her Shen. That's my wife here. Okay? My better half. So in the first video, I spoke about our connection to Madeira. I gave a little bit of a history about how we're connected to the island. I gave a history about what brought our ancestors from Madeira over to the Caribbean region. My wife, like I mentioned, is from Guyana, and I am from St. Thomas, Virgin Islands, even though I was raised on the island of St. Kitts. And on both sides of our family, well, I should say on both sides of my family, my mother and my father, like I mentioned to you, through both of them, I am a great-great-grand of people who left Madeira and moved to the Caribbean. And my wife, through her mother, her mother's mother, and her mother's father, also both have ancestry from Madeira. So I gave it a little bit of a history back then, mentioned all of that. So now what we're going to be talking about now is I kind of led it up to mention to you that we took a trip to Madeira in March. For our 7th anniversary. We had this in the works for about 2 years. COVID kind of like put a dent in that. But finally last summer we were able to pick our travel package and we made it over to Madeira. Well, of course, stopping in Lisbon. We had to fly into Lisbon. We live in the South Florida area, so it was a trip from here up to New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, up to New Jersey. And then a direct flight over to Lisbon, and on the way back it was Lisbon to Dulles in Virginia, and then down here to Miami.
Dulles is Virginia or Maryland?
Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in like the DC area basically.
Okay.
So so that's what our trip. So we're gonna talk about that trip that we took. So I will let my wife take it from here. To tell her experience, what it was like for us heading over there. First, of course, making it to Lisbon before we made it over to Madeira.
So I've always liked pictures of places in Europe, but before I met my husband, I didn't know much about my ancestry because I didn't ask a lot of questions. Like I don't know my father's family and my mom's family. I didn't ask a whole lot of questions, even when my great grandmother was alive. And because of that, I didn't know about Madeira. It wasn't until I met him, and he's big on family and ancestry and stuff like that, that I started learning about that stuff, and he was going on and on and on. And then eventually I took the ancestry DNA, and it pinpointed that my ancestry is not just Portugal, but specifically Madeira, and I'm 7% Madeiran. So he's been leading up to the trip. He was just talking about it and watching videos, endless YouTube videos. And I must admit, I was excited to go on the trip, but there was still some apprehension because it's a place I didn't know. And while I did connect with family, he was doing most of the talking with them and stuff. I'm not much of a chatty person. So I was excited to go someplace new, but I didn't I kind of tempered my expectations because I just didn't want to be disappointed. Let's just put it that way. So when we got to Lisbon, it was, first of all, the trip was long. I hate flying, but I love going new places. Um, but when we got there, it was, the airport was pretty efficient. Um,
Well, there
and
was a long line when we were going through the immigration part of it. There was a
yeah,
very long line. We got in there first thing in the morning, but
they moved
after a
pretty
while, it
fast.
started moving pretty fast.
Yeah, they moved pretty fast. And then when we got there, we were trying to figure out how to move around and stuff like that. And I figured out that Uber works. So Uber works there. And when we pulled it, when I pulled up Uber and I put in the address for the hotel and stuff, it was like $5, €5 or something like that, 5 or 6, no more than €6. And I was like, huh? Is this place like right next to the airport? Because it just, you don't see prices like that where we live in South Florida. So um, the Uber came and it was a bit of a drive for €6. So it was kind of surprising, but the place was beautiful. And I should point out that I've always loved, um, is it more Spanish architecture? Like those homes that I really
Well,
like?
I guess you would say Iberian architecture,
Okay,
since
yeah,
Spain and
he
Portugal
knows.
shares the same
He knows.
landmass.
Yeah.
So it's that Iberian look. People tend to think of it as Spanish architecture, but you find it, in both places.
Okay, well, yeah. And growing up in the Caribbean, if you refer to Guyana as the Caribbean, we do. Um, you're accustomed to homes looking a certain way and stuff like that. But I've always been drawn to that type of architecture, and the flowers in the windows, and I like bright colored flowers and stuff like that. So of course Lisbon offered all of that. So right away, driving around, I fell in love, and then. Um, the place was so quiet.
Yes, if I can interject with that. We showed up, we got there,
It
we
was a
left,
Sunday.
yeah, we left on a Saturday, but obviously a time difference. We got there like first thing Sunday morning. And we're so accustomed to, because we lived in New York a few years ago before we moved down here, and we're so accustomed, are just regular days, the same traffic, the same people, stores
With
are
the
open.
exception of banks opening.
And stores and so forth. So when we looked out the hotel window, I was like, "Where's everybody?"
No, it wasn't just the hotel window, it was the drive there.
Yeah, it was just like no
the
one.
roads were clear,
Yeah.
places were closed and stuff like that. So we were like, okay, so I should point out that growing up in the Caribbean, it's like that. Sundays, everything shuts down, you go to church and stuff like that. So when when we saw it, we were like, oh, so they're into the Caribbean thing where everything just shuts down on Sundays and it's just quiet. So we got to the hotel, we were starving, and we were trying to find places to eat. But the problem was it was too early in the morning, and this was like what, 9?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
No, I think we landed at 10, got to the hotel like after 11 or something.
Yeah, there was no 24-hour IHOPs around. So.
Yeah, like everything was closed, and we were just like looking around like, wait, what is happening? But then what we noticed is that things started opening up. I think, was it after 12?
Yeah, I guess they allow people to go to church and so forth.
Yeah, like later on in the afternoon, places started opening up. There was still a quietness to it, but like food places and so on started opening up. And like when I googled like places to eat near me, you saw like things were opening at 3 o'clock, some at 6 o'clock. So clearly they let you go to church in the morning, and spend your quiet time with your family, and then if you want to go to brunch or lunch or whatever after church, the places start opening for that. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at the time up there. Looks like I need to clean this thing off.
You probably should.
Sorry about that. I'm pointing my finger up there, but you see how many minutes we have?
I do.
Okay.
Still got 30 to go. So yeah, eventually after walking, we found a cafe and we had breakfast, and I had orange juice with mixed berry pancakes, and it caught me by surprise, I should say, because Okay, so if you've ever eaten American food, you know like orange juice is
Orange
sweetish.
juice.
It's sweetish. It's orange juice. Like there's a tanginess to it, but you could tell it's not just straight orange juice, right? Or the oranges were just kind of sour, whatever. Um, but the orange juice in Portugal, Lisbon, it was pure orange juice. Like there was nothing added to it. Like they just squeezed the oranges, and the oranges were extremely sweet. So the orange juice was actually sweet. Like we couldn't believe it was orange juice we were drinking. Um, the pancakes, they were just a tad bit too rich for me. Like because it was full on berries, strawberries. So you got the tanginess of the berries, and it's not something you'd expect in pancakes. But overall the experience was really nice for a first meal there. It was really nice. He had banana pancakes and he just kind of cleaned his plate. um, but the orange juice was the first thing that took us by surprise, because we were just like, holy wow. This is really pure and sweet for orange juice. And then the place was like 5 to 10 minutes from the hotel, so we just walked back, and of course it was quiet again. The one thing that really caught me by surprise and I did not plan for was the weather. um, I walked with a bunch of summer dresses. I walked with a bunch of summer dresses, little short dresses, long dresses, whatever, but summer dresses, and it was chilly.
Yes,
And
it was drizzly.
it was chilly.
Because again, it was still technically winter, but when you think of winter in Portugal, you don't think of that kind of New Yorkish kind of weather where it's damp and whatever. So it was a little nippy for that day that we were there. Now,
And one of the things that we discovered, on our walk to and from the breakfast cafe, was that the people were really nice. Like while we were walking, I stopped and I just asked a random guy, like, "Hey, our anniversary is tomorrow. Can you recommend a restaurant?" And he was just so polite about it, and everybody that we met was polite. The hotel receptionist, everybody was polite. He was talking basketball with my husband, and that's Hotel Madrid. It's Hotel Madrid, right? 3K.
mm-hmm.
And he was talking basketball with my husband and stuff. But overall, the people were just really nice. As an introduction to the place, the people that we met, it was really nice.
Well, I can say this much. I'm a very observant person. I always look at what's going on. I'm not one of those touristy minded people always looking at, I pay attention to what's going on. And that was our first full day there.
No, it wasn't a full day because technically kind of ish.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the first full day. But so from there we went back to the hotel, kind of just relaxed from the long traveling time and stuff, and then we went to, what do you call the place with all the stuff lined?
The who?
All those restaurants lined up on each side. What do you call it?
Oh, the LX Factory.
The LX Factory.
Yeah, we went there at night as a
So
that was
we
recommended
went
to us by the hotel.
Find a place to look for dinner, and it was just so many choices. But of course, it was drizzly and cool and stuff, so you couldn't even sit outside and have dinner. But I can't remember the name of the restaurant, and I don't think you can either.
No, I don't remember the name of it.
But it was really nice.
Yes, it was right under the bridge.
Yeah.
Something that looks like the hotels that are under the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. If you've ever been, there's a place called Dumbo down in Brooklyn, so it looked just like that.
A nice homey kind of restaurant. So we went in there and I ordered a chicken salad.
Oh, before we even get to that, let's go back a bit, and we have only a certain amount of time. So let me just go back to just point out something here. I forgot to mention this. When you look at videos on Madeira, you're not going to see many people that look like us, so to speak, okay? So one of the things that people have asked me since we've come back, they're going to ask the question. They're like, did you see people looking like us over there?
But you mentioned just Madeira, not just Madeira, like Portugal overall.
Right.
We didn't feel left out or awkward. Let's put it that way, because like I've gone to places in the United States, right here in Florida, and I felt awkward because it's like I'm the only one that looks like me. But for the few people that we saw in the beginning, from as an introduction to the place, it's very diverse.
Yes, and no, I guess the thing is because people have asked me this, and I said no one was looking at us like weird, like
Yeah, like we didn't belong.
those black people. No one was doing that. They were just minding their business, going along their way. Because the first day we went there, I didn't see that much diversity, but I want to say the next day. So if
It's
we could,
because it was quiet.
yeah, it was quiet on that day. But then the next day we just started seeing so much more people that looked like us.
We
But
did
again,
more.
no one was looking at us.
Because we
No-
did more.
Yeah, no one was looking at us like we looked odd.
I don't think
didn't
I don't
feel
think
any
he's
sort-
I don't think he's doing a fair assessment of the first day.
No, I was
when
just
it
trying to catch
comes
up because of the
that.
time up there.
Because I mean, it was so quiet. Like, and even when we went to LX Factory, there weren't a lot of people out and about.
It was still drizzly
So
and
it was still drizzly and
dreary.
dreary. Thankfully, I walked with a leather jacket, but yeah, so we go inside, we sit down, we place our orders and stuff. So she brings the chicken salad, and I started eating it, and I swear my eyes almost popped out of my head when I tasted the lettuce. I'm like, so I turned to him, I'm like, you have to taste this.
Lettuce.
Just lettuce, right? No salad dressing or anything on it, just the lettuce. And he tasted and he had the exact same reaction. And we're looking at each other like, is this what lettuce is supposed to taste like? Because yeah. It was like, wow.
Yeah, it was like, oh my goodness, this thing just tastes like we use the word kind of like flippantly when we say fresh. Oh, this is fresh.
No,
But
it
I mean,
was
it was
fresh.
It was like, wow,
It was
I was just
fresh.
like, this is what the food tastes like. Because again, I would admit, going over there, we're from the Caribbean, so we eat a lot of well-seasoned, spicy foods, and we Caribbean folks, generally represented by Jamaica, of course, but our foods, it pops. So when we went over there, I just didn't think I was going to taste something that would make me kind of like make my eyes like roll around, like, wow, this thing tastes so good.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So the
Just
food
lettuce
was
was
so
amazing.
the food was fantastic. But in the interest of time up there, baby.
Okay,
we got
so after we were finished with dinner, we just went back to the hotel. We relaxed, watched some TV, and just went to sleep. So the next day, it being our first full day, and I know our anniversary, and also the day before we went to Madeira, we decided to go see a little bit of sightseeing in Lisbon. And of course, we use Uber. What's the name of the place we went into?
I have no idea, but it's the person recommended to us. But when we were driving in the Uber, the guy pointed over and said, "Oh, that's Quiche. However, CAIS. Still can't get the pronunciation down. Sorry to insult my Portuguese audience if I'm butchering the name.
Okay,
But we
hold
went
on.
down there and we went down to that famous monument that's down there.
So of course I have pictures. So this is the monument.
You have to hold it back a little bit. I don't think
Oh,
they can.
sorry. Can
It's a
you?
little
There you go.
difficult to see it.
Oh, cause yeah, there you go. See, so there's the monument, and that's me. And so we went down there, us at the monument, and one of the guys on the monument is one of my relatives, my distant ancestors. Anyway,
As we
so we
Yeah.
went down there, and then we decided to, after taking pictures, we decided to sit and have lunch at a place on the water right next to the monument. Of course, I had to take pictures of the food because, whew. So
I like to say in 20 minutes.
this is what we had for lunch. So he had potatoes and fish with tomatoes and stuff, and I had pepper steak. It was amazing.
Yeah. The presentation of foods
Yeah.
over there, it's just like a thing of beauty. The
It
way that
is.
they present their food, the food just always looks so colorful, so well.
Mhm.
We didn't go to any restaurant where I would say like they just threw down some meat over here or whatever. Everything was just well put together. The food was just fantastic. It was just great. It was just fantastic. So while we were down there in that area, we jumped on some scooters. We probably did some illegal things, but we jumped on the
I followed
scooter.
his lead.
We went over bridges and we went over walk paths.
We went into the garden.
Yeah, we went into a park across the street. Big church on the other side. So it was very beautiful there. We had some ice cream. It was a fun gelato. It was a fun
So
day.
I have a suggestion. Since Lisbon it's Portugal, but since it was, even for the few days that we spent there, it was so nice. Maybe we should just do our trip to Madeira specifically.
Okay.
Because obviously this is gonna, because we're not even done. Because there's no way I'm gonna stop talking and not talk about our anniversary dinner that we had in Lisbon. Oh my God. Okay, so the guy recommended the restaurant. Our
The
first
same guy
day
we
there.
met in the street.
Yeah, just a random stranger. And when we asked the receptionist at the hotel, he or she, it was a he, I think, right? It was like, yeah, that's a really good recommendation, but you have to make a reservation. So he helped us make the reservation. Like I said, really nice people. He helped us make the reservation, and then like I pulled it up on the map, and it was just like 10 minutes away from the hotel. So we got all dressed up and everything, and we went to the restaurant. And it was this cute little Italian place that I could understand why you needed a reservation. So we get there, and first of all, they give us some kind of cheese. I can't even remember what it was, but the atmosphere was so beautiful. It added to the romance. It's just, think of the cutest little restaurant that you could think about, with nice dimmed lights and just beautiful smells and everything. Just think about that. That's the restaurant we went to.
Yeah, you felt more like you were in a home, more or less, but a nice. It wasn't like your typical restaurant, like where you just walk up and it says because you had to walk down some stairs, so it was like below street level, but it was nice and quaint and very intimate. And when we got in, they had two sides, but there was one table on one side,
yeah.
Isolated by itself,
And
then everyone else was over on the other side. And then they asked us, where would you like to sit? And we were like, well, over here. Not that we were trying to be antisocial or anything like that, but for the occasion. So we decided to go and sit over on that side, and it was just so, the lighting and everything was really, really, really beautiful.
We don't drink alcohol, right? So of course it's an an authentic Italian restaurant. So the first question was, what wine would you guys like to have? And we had Coke with lemon.
Yeah, we just tried to look like we were drinking liquor, Yeah.
And they were so nice because they put it in wine glasses.
Yeah, to make it look like we're like...
To make it look like we were actually drinking some kind of wine.
Yes.
And then, so we actually did decide to try some wine. And the wine that we chose, they were laughing because, of course, again, it's an authentic Italian restaurant.
We're not wine connoisseurs, and I guess you're supposed to drink a particular
wine with the type of food and stuff, right? So when we were like, we just want something sweet. And so the owner came and she was like, but that's not going to go with the food. And we were like,
I don't even know. People are like,
we don't know about
this
that.
wine goes well with this steak, and I'm like, just bring us something sweet. If we're gonna drink any wine, that's what it's gonna be.
We generally don't use alcohol, so we were so out of our element with that. But they were extremely gracious about it, and they helped us along. Now for the food, I tried something that I've never had, which is fish in pasta.
What kind of fish was it?
Sea bass.
Sea bass pasta.
And he had the steak, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had steak, right? Now, normally I'm a steak girl.
And I don't normally eat steak.
I'm normally a steak girl, but I felt like eating pasta that night, so... The most amazing pasta I've had in my life. And he can tell you, from the time that we first started talking, I told him that I was in love with pasta. And anywhere that I go, my first option is always pasta, as long as it's there. When I put the first bite into my mouth, the first thing I tasted was the creaminess, and then a burst of lemon, and then the flavor of the sea bass. And I told him, I'm like, you would not believe how this thing tastes. And when I put it in his mouth, he was like, holy crap.
Yeah, because I'm still trying to find out what magic trick that was. Like, how do you eat something and it has three things in it? Well, it has the cream, it has the sauce, the creaminess of the sauce, then it has the lemon, and it has the fish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm eating it, and you don't taste all of them at one time. It's like, wow, I just taste the creaminess. Wait, there's a lemon. Oh, there's... So it was like
It was amazing.
Wow.
Like,
so
how they isolated the flavors where you just like it was tantalizing to the taste buds. Let's put it that way. And then so after dinner we ordered dessert. And you're thinking dinner was amazing. It can't get any better than this. It got better. So they brought out the dessert. Oh my god. So what they did was it was a plate of ice cream, but the ice cream, it was different flavors. We didn't know this. So when they brought it out, there was a banana, a coffee, a cocoa nut, cocoa shell,
like
a walnut shell, a passion fruit skin, and a kiwi skin. So we were kind of like, and how they did it, like they closed the back, the nuts and the fruit. So like you didn't know what was in it. So we're looking at it like, what is this? So I tried it first and I picked up the walnut. No, I think it was the coffee. I picked it up and I tasted it. And again, my eyes almost popped out of my head. I'm like, you should try this. And then we tried the banana, the kiwi, and what they did was the banana skin was filled with banana flavored ice cream. Same with the passion fruit, same with the kiwi, same with the coffee, same with the walnut. And it was so rich, but at the same time not sweet and overwhelming. So we just cleaned it up.
Well, yeah, it was just a great evening.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. That's all I can tell you.
And they gave us some kind of drink afterwards. Remember the sweet drink that was strong?
Yeah.
And you were
I don't know what that was. Was that puncha? Do you think it was?
Was it? Is that what they called it? No.
I don't even know. Was it citrusy? I don't know.
No, it wasn't citrusy.
Yeah, it was some sweet, but it was liquor, right?
It was alcohol.
Yeah. So
very
it was
strong alcohol.
It might have been Madeira and wine. I don't even know.
Probably.
Oh no, they did give us some other drink.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic. So after all of this happened, and this is very important, but while we were going to the restaurant, the Uber driver sort of pointed to some people walking on the streets, and he was just telling me he was complaining about some other things, but one thing he did mention was the fact about how safe the place was, that there are women walking on the streets all hours of the night. No one is bothering them. You don't really hear of anything happening to them. That same night, as we were at the restaurant, since here in America we try to give tips and so forth, we realized that they did not write a tip in. It would have to be something separate.
And we really wanted to give them something because the service was amazing. The food was just amazing. And
I didn't have any euros on me. That's a whole other thing. So it was like, hey, where can I get? Because I guess we couldn't give them the tip on the card.
No, what happened was when I went to tell her to take out a tip and how much to take out, she was like, "Oh, I already cashed it," and like they don't do a separate transaction for the tip. So
right.
And then the thing is, it's like they don't expect to be tipped. So there was nothing additional on the bill that said that we should tip or anything like that, or what amount should go towards the tip. And that's one of the things that we noticed with the restaurants in Portugal overall, where the waiters and waitresses did not expect a tip at all. So I am very free-handed and generous when it comes to tips and stuff like that. So like a lot of times when I gave the tip, they looked at me like, "Is she sure she wants to give this much?" But the thing is, I believe people should be paid for the service that they're offering, and it was really amazing. So the only way we could have given them the tip is if we had cash. So he went to an ATM.
Well, that's what I was going to tell you. I went outside to the ATM. They pointed out to where it was. I don't know what time of the night it was, after 12, after
Yeah, it was
midnight,
after
somewhere there,
midnight.
around there. And I go out on the street, and I'm walking down the street, and there's some people sitting outside, just sitting on the sidewalk. That was the first time I saw one of the trolleys. I was like, what the hell is that? And I looked up, I saw a trolley coming down the street, and there were people walking on the street, and the ATM was on the outside. And as I'm taking the money out, at no point did I feel
Unsafe.
any kind of like, I gotta watch myself. There are people on the streets, I gotta watch out. There were some young people walking around. There's some older guys sitting there. They were sitting outside on a restaurant somewhere, a little cafe, and that's what they were doing. But I didn't feel any type of a way, like I'm feeling scared. I've got to watch my back. This is the
So
bad side of town, or something like that.
let me just interject to say, the idea behind this video was supposed to be to talk about our trip to Madeira, but I felt like it would have been unfair to not talk about the rest of the trip because we didn't spend the entire week in Madeira. And of course, our experience in Lisbon, I feel, should be shared as well, because while Madeira is basically a paradise, I'm sure people who've never been to Portugal, mainland, are like, oh, what's it like there? So it was just kind of to give our experience. But so in our next video, it'll be focused strictly on our visit to Madeira, and there's so much to talk about that. Personally, I don't like boring people, so I don't want it to be over an hour long. So that's why you didn't hear much about Madeira in this video, more so the Lisbon part of it. Just to break it up so you're not sitting there for an entire hour and a half looking at our two faces and listening to our trip story. But yeah, so overall, in terms of safety, atmosphere, food, honestly,
And just keep in mind that on the way back from Madeira, we had to stop in Lisbon,
oh
and we
my
had a whole
God,
other experience. So we're going to talk about that
yeah,
on the back end of course, just in chronological order. So we
yeah,
landed in Lisbon. So we're telling you about our Lisbon experience right now, and then we went over to Madeira for, I guess, 4 days,
4 days.
or something along that line. But this was the night of our anniversary. We would have liked to have spent it in Madeira, but it was just how the days ended up. So we spent it in
It was
Lisbon. It was still very
however way
beautiful.
you twist
So
it.
Lisbon was very nice. Again, we're gonna say more about Lisbon, that even exposes us to more about Lisbon,
Yeah.
and we didn't even get a chance to see.
I think nice is an
Yeah,
understatement.
we didn't get a
It
chance to
was
see.
it was wonderful,
Yeah,
and like we did not get to see a lot of Lisbon, because it was the shorter part of the trip. We focused more on being in Madeira than we did Lisbon. So like we didn't get to go see the castles and stuff like that in Central like we wanted to go see because time just ran out, and then we had a reservation for the anniversary dinner. So, but overall, Lisbon was amazing. The little that we were able to do, the places that we ate at, the people that we met, I it, it was amazing.
yes, it was. It was a nice introduction to Portugal.
Yeah, it
So,
really was.
so it was great. Everything was pretty nice. The airport, they were rather efficient in what they were doing there. So the hotel, it wasn't the most luxurious, splendid. We don't have that kind of money, unless you guys want to send us some. But it wasn't. But it was still comfortable. It felt
It
very
really
good.
was.
It was not too far from the city center, so we got a chance to go there. And it was just overall great. Now we only have a few more minutes, so just to let you know, that part of it was fantastic. So the next day,
Is
the
when
next
we
day
went to
we
Madeira.
went ahead and we flew out to Madeira. So we went to the airport, bright and early in the morning, and we took off, and we got our chance to finally go over to Madeira and see what this was really all about.
And in our next video, you're gonna go on that adventure with us.
So
where it was amazing.
Yes, it turned out to be. It turned out to be far more than I could have ever dreamed and expected.
And let me just say, I grew up in the Caribbean, moved to the U.S., and he can vouch for this. I've always felt out of place, and I felt at home in Portugal.
Yeah. So, and of course, that first part of the video sort of explained, the first video I did kind of explained why we felt at home, but it was just so many other factors, even other than that. So, just going to bring this video to an end right now. We just want to thank you for laboring through watching this video. Hopefully it was entertaining enough for you, just to let you know what our experience was like there going into Lisbon. Again, I know you're not going to see many videos on there with people who look like us per se, but I'm just glad that we did, and I'm excited, but I don't want to tell everybody about it because I don't want the whole bunch of people coming over there all of a sudden like, oh, you heard, hey, the Tyson's talk. So I didn't really want to do all of that. So just letting you guys know, for those of you lucky ones who got a chance to look in and do a search and saw our faces on there, that you can listen in and just understand that it's just been, the secret is out. Portugal is just like a place to go. It's trending. Madeira, it's even more so.
And when we talk about our last day in Lisbon, after we leave Madeira, you'll fully understand why he says it's a major part of the reason why he says it's trending. So, but we don't want to jump ahead and spoil the festivities and the big reveal of those things. So we're gonna go for right now, and in our next video, you're gonna venture with us into our 4 days in Madeira, and we are going to just forewarn you that that's going to be a lengthy video because Madeira was amazing. So
and sorry about this. I mean, the videos hopefully after Madeira and so forth will get a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
But we had to just kind of pack all of this in so you could kind of get the gist of what's going on.
Yes.
But again, we're going to probably run out of time. It'll be embarrassing if this thing shuts off before we say our closing remarks. So I'll go ahead and do.
Can you guys just subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, share as much as you possibly can, please and thank you.
So,
and just drop a comment, and we will be very responsive, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video. Bye for now.
Thank you so much. And this is, let's just say, Shen and Dexter. Let me just put it that way. From Mad About Madeira. And at some point in time, you'll see our little toddler. So we're doing this video at 2 o'clock in the morning because
so that he doesn't come barging in and make a bunch of noise and take over the show. So
you guys take care, and thank you for tuning in. And see you the next time, okay? On Mad About Madeira. Bye.